Hello everyone, I am Shaheena Abdul. The topic that we'll be discussing today is about addressing issues of peri-urbanization through nature-based solutions. What is peri-urban and how it is important? Urban sprawl is a global phenomenon that has been happening across different cities of the world. This can be facilitated due to various reasons, like foreign capitalist investments in periphery due to more availability and lesser land cost, coupled with policy benefits issued by the government, like special economic zones and industrial areas, and also because of urban sprawl aided by new infrastructure developments, lucrative opportunity for real estate developers, and also migration of people from urban to rural due to the technological advancements. My research question is, if city growth and expansion is inevitable, are there sustainable approaches to planning growth that can be used? If so, how? The aim of the study is to understand issues arising due to peri-urbanization and methods to address them through nature-based solutions. My objectives are to understand various theories and issues relating to peri-urbanization and to develop an understanding of nature-based solutions and to develop parameters to be addressed in an urban design scale, to develop guidelines to address issues of peri-urban areas in the case of Trivandrum, Kerala, India. The methodology of my study has been structured as such. Variable areas exhibit their physical parameters in a lack of spatial planning, variation in their density, presence of natural elements, and recent investments or developments in the case of infrastructure that is social, physical, or civic. These infrastructure developments also enable them to have more accessibility to the core city or major destinations, and these developments also show a major shift in the land use land cover. By the social parameters, they exhibit a sense of employment character in the primary sector, and which is reflected in the economic sector-wise employment also. In terms of governance, these areas exhibit inadequate housing, water supply, sewage management, and drainage. Typologies of peri-urban areas are characterized into village peri-urban, diffuse peri-urban, chain peri-urban, absorbed peri-urban, and in-place peri-urban. Based on the peri-urbanization study of the context of Trivandrum, the peri-urban areas of Trivandrum has been identified and a site of Palippuram has been identified and chosen as a site of study. The relevance of the site is because of the presence of an IT hub, which until recently was a peri-urban area, but got incorporated into the master plans of the city. Due to the incorporation of the IT hub, there have been more investments and infrastructure developments in the connecting edges, such as road widening and the metro stations in the corridor. This road also acts as a major connecting node to other districts of the state. To address such a haphazard development and to incorporate communities, nature-based solutions was identified as an ideal solution because it is known to have sustainably managed, restore natural or modified ecosystems that address societal challenges effectively, efficiently, and economically, providing human well-being and biodiversity benefits. A detailed understanding of various nature-based approaches has helped me create a typology of different types based on the scale, hydrology, types, and categories of nature-based solution interventions. Further research based on case studies of NBS approaches in peri-urban areas was conducted, and different typologies of strategies were identified. In the case of flooding and security, in the case of Kharagpur, Uttar Pradesh, India, the farmers were incorporated into the peri-urbanization process, and they were incorporated into creating the flood resilience for the city, as well as generating them increased income and revenue sources. The second strategy is river and stream restoration. In these case studies, I have identified typical strategies that they have been chosen to do. Through delimiting natural elements, they have tried to address in nature-based solutions while being beneficial for the urban community. But the limitations of the study is that all of them are qualitative and not quantitative. But in the case of Sponge City in China, they have addressed a guideline of how this can be addressed in a quantitative manner. The next strategy is in the case of Green Corridor, where temperature decrease has been found out by 2 degrees Celsius. Also, the next strategy is about bioretention areas, where existing land has been altered to increase the surface area to act as permeable areas, detention ponds, and retention ponds. Parameters that has been addressed through these interventions have been identified, which increased permeability, habitat connectivity, access to nature, increase in lead cover, environmental quality, and sense of identity. Talking about the site, the Kadinamkulam Lake, the Panvel-Kanyakumari Highway, and the railway line are three major factors that has affected the development of the site. The Kadinamkulam Lake acts as an ecological asset to the area. The presence of the railway line and the Panvel-Kanyakumari Highway has historically been causing the development pressures in this area, and the redevelopment of the Panvel-Kanyakumari Highway has further intensified these pressures. With the comparison of the 2011 and 2023 satellite images, we can see that clearly there are three major areas that have been affected by these development pressures. The first one is the Kadinamkulam Lake and its adjacent water networks and their connections, and then incorporations with the community. And the second one is the ribbon development of the road networks and the intensity of development and the changes that has been happening in these road edges. And the third areas are the changes of the agricultural lands, where residential areas have more developed and been intensified, and more agricultural land areas have now been converted into residential or other purposes. Through an ecological perspective of understanding the site, we can see that the road development has been taken place by connecting different higher altitudes of the site. The development of the road and the railway track has already fragmented the agricultural ecosystem into different fragmented pieces, which will cause further issues in the very near future. To understand the site, the infrastructure development and conversion of land use has been intensified by the development of Techno Park and the Digital University, which has created a rapid change of agricultural land use, and the loss of agricultural area to residential areas has further intensified the food scarcity and food security issues of the region. We can also see that the road development and the development pressures have created morphological changes over the years. Due to the new infrastructure development, which disregards the ecological constraints or the ecological context of the site, they have only understood and analyzed the development through an economic perspective of cost benefit analysis and never on an ecological perspective. This has caused and is going to cause further issues in the near future. Talking about the identity loss and the morphological changes, uh, through the images, we can see that the buildings have been chiseled out through their facades, and these have created a total lack of identity or total disconnect between the streets among people in these communities, as well as people using the user groups using these roads as well. So there is a total loss of identity that is happening here. And also, we can see that the conversion of land use patterns. As per the image, we can see that the Kadinamkulam Lake and the connecting networks have now been limited to a single canal. This area used to be a part of a whole community practice of coir making and coir making activities. And the coir making practice was a livelihood generation aspect of the community. But now these areas, due to the higher value, have been cut off and parceled into smaller land plots because of the economic value, and these will be sold off very soon. To understand, to compress and understand all the changes, I've come up with a list of tables of how changes due to the peri-urbanization causes issues and how these issues can be approached through various NBS approaches, which has been found out through the case studies. And from the case studies, how and what kind of NBS solutions can be proposed. To conclude, an existing structure plan which defines and locates the future proposals of the development proposed in the site, and also issues that the community or future issues that may arise in the region have been marked and mapped. The proposed structure plan that proposes areas that need protection or spaces that needs to be addressed have been marked and mapped. So these structure plan includes protection spaces, natural spaces that needs protection, and potential public spaces for strategy applications and natural drain paths that needs to be protected in an immediate cost, and possible public spaces that can be utilized. The following is a list of research papers and documents that has been referred for the purpose of the study. Thank you.